Black Channel. Well, I hate to say it, but I kinda called this one too. The Black Channel is live. Unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the everlasting superfortress of intelligent black thought. We are the Black Media, and this is the Black Channel, and I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the voice of Black America, the Black Authority, broadcasting to you live from the only historically black college and university of higher education and learning in the cosmos. You are, of course, welcome to join us. And join us you shall, because on tonight's program here, this is basically a bit of housekeeping in this regard. And as we talk about reparations, as we talk about cutting the check, as we talk about putting these things in their proper perspective, it becomes necessary for us to keep up with the progress of these things. And as you are seeing that the talk and the movement on reparations has begun to move in earnest, you then have to take a look at the next evolutionary step here. Bruce's Beach was a crown jewel. It was a feather in the cap. And I have to tell you all, if you remember from the program that I did here last year, if you remember from that program that I did on Bruce's Beach here last year, if you remember that, you'll remember I talked about it a certain way. That program, we had done that July 23rd, 2022. July 23rd. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because if you go back and listen to that particular program, if you go back and play that one, you'll realize that during that program, I say something. During the program, around the 9 minute and 50 second mark, I had said something in there. And the reason why I said it was because as I was reading the story from the Los Angeles Times, something I was reading in there caught my attention in a not so great way. For those of you who remember that program, you remember what I said at the time. Let me go ahead and give you a refresher. Supervisor Holly Mitchell and Senator Bradford, who rallied state lawmakers and the governor to authorize transferring the two parcels back to the Bruce family. George Fothery, a real estate transaction lawyer who represented the Bruce family pro bono. I got a few things to say about that. Got a few things to say about that too, by the way, for our legal community, such as it is, when you have mush-mouthed idiots out here who don't get anything done, or the rest of them are feckless ambulance chasers. And meanwhile, the real work that would help build a black community here, the real legal work to undo these things you see among Jewish people, finding pro bono lawyers for Jewish people is not hard. Jewish people don't have a problem being able to do that. Yet when it comes to black folk, all of a sudden, you have the most scared, cowardly, useless legal community in the world. Can't even call them community. It's a legal rabble. Just thought I would throw that in there for you. Now you remember, I said that last year during the program while this was being done. I said this last year. While folks were taking a victory lap, I was cautiously optimistic about it. But if you'll remember, even then I said the agreement, that's what they were talking about there, is that this agreement was drawn up with the family's attorney. And you'll notice the second I said the attorney, I said, and I got some things to say about that. because even then at the time, I had an issue with it. Well, Jason, what was the issue that you had? I could not find the document. I couldn't find the agreement itself. I couldn't actually find the agreement. I had gone looking for it, and there was a problem that I noticed. I kept seeing the same problem. Whenever I would go looking for it, you couldn't find it. You'd have pages that said they had a link to it, and when you clicked on it, it gave you a 404 error. So never actually got to see the agreement at the time when it was being promoted. Never got to see it, and I was just like, wait a minute. Wouldn't the family want this to be in big letters on the open record? Well, yes, of course, that's what you would want, unless your attorney has made a backroom deal and they've already put the handshake deal in place that this is all for publicity and that this will be undone. And I knew it then, and I was calling it then. I was stating then that I see a problem. I saw a problem then. If you all were here that night and you tuned into that program, or if you agree with it here, I want you to give me the eyeball emoji. In the chat room, give me the eyeball emoji and hit the likes button for me. We got over 2,000 of you in here in just the first 6 minutes. Unless you just deeply are offended and do not like what you're hearing. But if you agree with what you're hearing here tonight, give me the eyeball emoji. Let me know you saw it like I saw it. And hit the likes button for me. There's over 2,000 people in here. Let's let everybody know that you're not just window gazing, that you agree with what you're hearing. I knew something was wrong then. I knew it was wrong then, and I was calling it out then because I did not like it. I didn't like it. When I couldn't find the details of the agreement, it just seemed to me to be a no-brainer that we should all be able to see the details, and yet the details were not there. That was my first clue. The fix is in. Well, here we are. A year later. Well, not even a year later, half a year later. Didn't even make it half a year, folks. And what do you know? They have undone the deal. Whatever it was, they've undone it. Manhattan Beach in California, a place I've been to several times. Beautiful. Killer on your legs for that downhill. The downhill walk is great. Getting back to your car up there in the parking garage is hell, let me tell you. But it's a beautiful place. Absolutely gorgeous. And the article here from ABC7, after winning legal battle, families selling Bruce's Beach back to LA County for $20 million. After a protracted legal process that led to the historic return of pristine Manhattan Beach coastal property to a black family that had the land stripped away nearly a century ago, the family has decided to sell the parcel back to the county for $20 million. The county confirmed Tuesday. The county confirmed Tuesday. The seizure of Bruce's Beach nearly a century ago was an injustice inflicted upon not just Willa and Charles Bruce, but generations of their descendants who almost certainly would have been millionaires, Los Angeles County Supervisor Janice Hahn said in a statement. Janice Hahn said in a statement. Now, on your screen there, I believe that Miss Hahn, if I remember correctly, Miss Hahn is the blonde chick over there on the left. That was Janice Hahn, county supervisor. And she had her face all over this thing. Then. Now, here's what she said next. Now, this was this week now. Here's what she said next. Here's what she said that adds grievous, treacherous insult to already unspeakable evil and injury. She says, quote, "I fought to return Bruce's beach because I wanted to right this wrong. This fight has always been about what is best for the Bruce family, and they feel what is best for them is selling this property back to the county for nearly $20 million and finally rebuilding the generational wealth they were denied for nearly a century. This is what reparations look like." These are her words now, not mine. This is what reparations look like, and it is a model that I hope governments across the country will follow, Hahn said. That last sentence, I could not contain my indignation nor my disgust with that last sentence. And if you listen to my program from July when they originally got the property back, seemingly, you remember that I had some choice words about Miss Hahn. I did not trust her. I didn't trust her because I knew for them to put together the legislation and everything, that the fix would have to be in from the very beginning. This isn't something that you could come along later and undo. The fix would have to be in from the start, from the point of the legislation. In other words, from the point of her. When she starts this, it would have to be from her. And I submit to you all that this was a trial run to see what they could do in order to quiet black people and to give something of a restitution without changing the status quo. Did you understand that? To give them something of a restitution, but without actually changing any of the status quo. And I submit to you that what she did with the aiding and abetting and blessing of Governor Gavin Newsom, who you all know my absolute rancor for him, that's what this was about. Now, for anybody who's ever been to Bruce's Beach, been through El Segundo, gone down to Bruce's Beach, I have. Beautiful property. Manhattan Beach is lovely. It really, really is. Especially at sunset. It's one thing to see the sun rise on the East Coast. Let me tell you, nothing beats watching the sun set on the West Coast. To anybody who's been there on those beaches there, but particularly Manhattan Beach, nothing's like seeing that sunrise, that sunset. Sets the whole sky in orange. It really, really is. Especially in the spring through the summertime. Do you know how much that property is worth with even a modest hotel, a modest inn, whatever you want to call it, even just something modest? The reason why I'm bringing this up is because for those of you who've been there, you know, when you go down at the top of the hill there's all those businesses. Now, on the beachfront itself, there are a bunch of houses, but when you get back up the hill, there's a bunch of businesses up there, bars, oyster houses, restaurants, so on and so forth. Now, I'm telling you right now, that'll be $100 million. And yes, I'm going to deal with some of these seeming objections. I'm going to deal with those. I'm going to deal with some of the seeming objections because that's why I want to go into why the fix is in. I want you to understand that this thing is way lower than, you know, the land slopes down there. So it's way lower than the regular property is. So even for planes coming in LAX, it wouldn't be an issue. But there's a reason for that. When this woman said this, it was absolutely disgusting. That she said that this is what reparations look like. Well, I suppose to her white eyes, it would be. It does not properly compensate them for what they lost. It doesn't compensate for the loss of let me tell y'all something, $20 million for what's happened to them. This family's supposed to be getting everything that they got back plus damages. They are supposed to get the land plus damages. That didn't happen. Folks, I said this before. They're supposed to get that land plus damages. A century's worth of damages, lost income, mental and emotional stress, disenfranchisement, disinheritance. They're supposed to be getting the land back plus damages. And what they've done is they haven't even properly paid them for the land. That's my point. And the attorney, I suspect I would need to see some more details, but I am highly suspicious of the attorney in this case. I'm highly suspicious that his job was merely to shepherd this through. That the state got with him and said, all right, now, here's how we're going to do this. Not really going to change the status quo now. We're going to chip them off a little bit of something to quiet them down. And if this will fly, then we can begin this reparations conversation. Get ourselves off the hook for only a fraction of what we're actually supposed to give, which is currently what they're trying to do now. Now, I want to go on and read the article here to you, and I brought invoices all over the place, so hang tight. It goes on to say here, Charles and Willa Bruce purchased the land in 1912. You know the story about that. Hahn, they're talking about the county supervisor there, the blonde chick. Hahn spearheaded the effort to have the land returned to the Bruce's descendants. The county, which ultimately wound up owning the property, held a formal ceremony in July to officially hand over the property deed to the family. Upon an agreement approved by the Board of Supervisors in late June, the land was officially transferred to Marcus and Derek Bruce, great-grandsons of Charles and Willa Bruce. The Bruces were then set to lease the land back to the county for $413,000 a year for the continued operation of county lifeguard facilities at the site. The agreement also included clauses that would allow the Bruces to sell the property to the county for a price not to exceed $20 million. The family this week opted to make that $20 million sale. In an appearance Tuesday on the Tavis Smiley Show on KBLA Radio, they did the most there, didn't they? Bruce family attorney George Fothery. Well, guess who? Bruce family attorney George Fothery said a variety of factors played into the decision to sell the land back to the county. Quote, the return of the property and the ability to sell the property and take the funds and invest it in a way that's important to their lives represents an important opportunity for my clients to get a glimpse of that legacy that was theirs, Fothery said. He noted that there are multiple family members involved in the decision-making process, quote, each at their own stage in life, some starting families, some nearing retirement, some caring for aging parents. Fothery also said that any effort by the family to develop the property would likely involve a lengthy approval process with the City of Manhattan Beach and the Coastal Commission. Now, did you hear that? Because there have been a whole bunch of folks out here who some of the information you all have said or repeated or put out here has not been accurate. Did you hear what he said there? He said that any decision to sell, any effort by the family to develop the property would likely involve a lengthy approval process with the City of Manhattan Beach and the Coastal Commission. The attorney called the decision to sell the land, quote, a positive development giving the family members immediate access to financial resources that had long been denied them. Yes, by way of giving up everything else they were supposed to get. By the way, the Bruces originally purchased the land back in 1912. They purchased it for $1,225. That's how much the Bruces originally paid for their land back in 1912, $1,225. Today, the family got $20 million, should have been closer to $100. But I want you to understand something here. That part there that most folks didn't get very clear. The attorney did not say. The attorney didn't say they couldn't do it. He said that if they wanted to develop the property, that would likely involve a lengthy approval process with the City of Manhattan Beach and the Coastal Commission. Okay, but the Bruces had an inn and a club and a house. They had already developed the property then. They had developed the property then. So this is what they're supposed to have now. Now I'm going to go ahead and remind you all of something. How many of you have had a personal injury case? Now, I've never had a personal injury case, but I have dealt with lawyers, and I know what it's like when you hire a lawyer who's just looking to settle. They want to get in, get it, and get out as quickly as they can. How many of you have dealt with a lawyer like that? They're just trying to figure out how to settle. As soon as all they want is for the other side to just make an offer, and then they're going to run back and tell you, okay, well, got the sleazy Birdman hand rub, not even the right one, but hey, they made us an offer. All right, let's go ahead and chop this on up. Well, you really should take the deal because we can't get anything better. We really should just take the deal, It's very unlikely that we can get a better offer, so we better just go ahead and take the deal. Some of y'all have had that attorney. Some of you had folks in your family have had an attorney like that. Well, we should just go ahead and take the deal. We really don't want to drag this out. If they're willing to make us an offer here, we might as well go ahead and do it. Otherwise, this could take years and years. This could be drug out. Okay, folks, when it comes to getting what's yours, sometimes we're going to have to show the other side that if you think you're going to play the we'll drag it out card, we can drag this bastard. We've been waiting a century to get what's ours. We can wait a couple more years. We've already been waiting 90 years. We can wait a couple more. We told you that we would be here when you stole the land the first time. We're here now, and we will be here. So the City of Manhattan Beach owes reparations. City of Manhattan Beach, now that the state has codified it, the City of Manhattan Beach owes damages. The City of Manhattan Beach owes damages. And with a proper legal contingent in your society, you'd already have it. If these were Jewish people, and we're talking about from Nazi Germany or World War II era, they'd have that. If these were Japanese people from World War II era, they'd already have that. Hell, if these were gays from the 70s, they'd already have that. When it comes to black folk, all of a sudden you're being told what can't happen. All of a sudden you're being told what can't happen. Oh, it'll take too long. Brother, it's already taken 90 years. It's already taken that long. We ready for this? It's already taken that long. See, when you have competent legal counsel, what they're going to do is make sure that all the paperwork and everything is cleaned up before you sign anything. We had an attorney pro bono. I'd like to know where they found this attorney. I'm curious as to whether or not Miss Hahn or somebody she knows suggested this particular attorney to the family. And I couldn't help but notice that when he spoke to Tavis Smiley, boy, he went extra sleazy. He said there are multiple family members involved in the process. Quote, each at their own stage in life. Some starting families, some nearing retirement, some caring for aging parents. In other words, he went in and sized up everybody. In other words, he went in and sized up everyone, and he made sure to isolate, okay, there's a number of folks right here. We start waving this check around and letting them know, hey, we ready to go ahead and chip y'all off, man. But, dude over there is holding up the works. Y'all get a hold of your man and let him know, hey, man, go ahead and take the check. I know Jason Black says cut the check, but right now, let's just take the check. Let's just take the check. Y'all know that. Hell, there's a bunch of y'all. Y'all got that nigga in your family. Hell, some of y'all got a whole family of them. You ain't just got one. You got a whole family of them. Somebody come running around with a check for more than $1,000. That nigga's ready to sign no matter what the paper says. He's not even thinking it over. He's not even hearing what the thing is for. Soon as somebody come waving a check in front of him. Now imagine that nigga with somebody waving a check for 25 grand in front of him. Man, look here. He'll be done busted your damn head open talking about, hey, nigga, you need to go ahead and sign you right here. You go ahead and sign that, man. Some of them are starting families. What the hell you gonna do? Let's just say, for example, let's just say that there are 20 family members. Let's just say you split it 20 different ways, $1 million. How far is $1 million gonna go in 2023 California? $2,000 2023 Southern California. How far is that supposed to stretch? You got kids, you got aging parents in Southern California. How long is that supposed to last you? You do realize at $100,000 a year, that'll be gone in 10 years. If they give it to them as one lump sum, it'll be gone in 10 months. Michael, I don't know if it's taxed. It shouldn't be, since it's a settlement with the state. It really shouldn't be taxed. But even if it isn't, the bottom line is in Southern California, that's really not going to carry you very far. So I just wanted to bring that up right quick so that you all understand. Man, don't you know it's folks in your family right now, they'll be done run your ass over in a Datsun. So you got an attorney sitting here, well, yes, I've examined the family here. Yeah, there's some folks at different stages in their lives. And what he is telling you is, yeah, I scoped them all out. And yeah, we started waving a check. And what I'm telling you all is that the check waving didn't start this year. The check waving started last year. It started last year. He didn't just jump up yesterday and say, hey, let's go ahead and try this. He knew he could do this the whole time. That's my point. He knew they could do this the whole time. Now, in the chat room, allegedly the attorney is supposed to be doing this pro bono. Supposedly. But I'd like to see, I wish we could do a deeper investigation on that, because the attorney basically rushed this through from the beginning, and now you're rushing to cash him out? Okay, here's my point. He has already conceded that to develop the property would involve a lengthy approval process with the City of Manhattan Beach and the Coastal Commission. But folks, if you develop that property, you no longer have a $20 million property. You got $100, $200 million property right there on the beachfront. Right there on the beachfront. Do you realize what you got? Do you realize what you would have? And you'd be the only people What you do is you fight for an exemption because that's what you all are owed. You are owed that exemption. And then once you get your exemption, you go ahead and develop it, put a little comfort in or whatever, right there on the beachfront. Are you kidding me? That's $1,000, $1,500 a night easy. Overlooking the ocean, right there on the, that's $1,000, $1,500 a night easy. Easy. That's simple money. It's not terribly far from the airport either. LAX is right up the road. I know, I've been there. I'm not telling you what somebody else told me. You can literally see the airport from there. LAX is what, 10, 15 minutes max? Right up the road. Literally right up the street. Literally. So I'm saying y'all got $20 million. We can't hang in there for another 2 years and get the big money? Everything we're supposed to get? We can't hang in there for another couple of years and get everything we supposed to get? I know it's minutes. It's not hours to the airport. It's literally minutes up the road. I drove it twice. So that's what I'm telling y'all. All your ducks need to be lined up. We can't just get the property. We've also got to get the property and have the rights to develop it. And you would be the only people, because all the other businesses are back up there at the top of the hill. If yours is allowed to be able to be down there at the bottom, man, that's it right there. That's it. And that's what I'm saying. We done messed around and let somebody sit up here and tell you here, do you all realize what that effectively means? Because they didn't hold out, you have effectively sold the property. You have effectively absolved them of guilt for pennies on the dollar. That's my point. You have let them off the hook and you have effectively let them go for pennies on the dollar. Take a look at the change in the valuation of that property from 1912 until now. And then take a look at the change in that property if you develop it. You've let them go for pennies on the dollar. Pennies on the dollar. That's the problem. That's the problem. And they're trying to make it sound like they did you some kind of favor. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. No, they didn't do you any favors. And don't let anybody sit up here and tell you that this is what reparations looks like. No, this is what white supremacy and overturning reparations looks like. However, want to have a little bit of a different conversation here. Want to do a little bit of housekeeping. This is from the Manhattan Beach News. This Mr. Fratello apparently is their only writer there. I wanted to show you something here. When you go down here, when from 2022, county supervisors announced details of plan to transfer Bruce's Beach property. Mr. Fratello here seemed a little bit, it was Gene Fratello, so I guess that's if his wife or whatever, I don't know. But they didn't seem to be very happy about it. Now, when you go down into the article, they're talking about the details of what happened. And it says this county supervisors, they have announced details of a precedent-setting plan to transfer the Bruce's Beach property back to their descendants. When you click on that, it takes you here. That's what you get from Manhattan Beach News when you attempt to go there and take a look at the actual article that they're linking to. That's what you get. Not just on their site. That's where you got it on a bunch of other sites. That's what you get. Now, I actually had to go dig and dig and dig and dig. And eventually, I was able to find the motion itself. And when you take a look through zoning and whatnot, it's not actually as draconian as some folks here might think it is. But I actually did find, took a while, but I actually did find it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and post the link in the chat room there. Go ahead and post that in the chat room so you all can see that. June 28, 2022. But as you can see, the Manhattan Beach News and other outlets, it doesn't link to this. It doesn't actually link to this. And take a look at how long this thing is. 82 pages. Now, there was one thing in particular, because I thought this was rather interesting. Folks, this is what it sounds like. Listen to this. When you look up for zoning, this is like Kanye's record deal. I want you all to listen to what I'm about to read and listen for in this paragraph in section 3.2. Listen for how many periods there are in this paragraph. When I get to a period, after it says permitted exceptions period, when I get to a period, I'm going to say the word period. Everything else before that is colons, semicolons, and parentheses. Listen to how long it takes before you get to a period in this paragraph. At closing, Bruce, they're referring to the family, the Bruce family, shall accept title of the real property subject to A, the lease, B, the encumbrances, reservations, and easements of record set forth on Schedule 1, C, the lien on all ad valorem real estate taxes and assessments not yet due and payable as of the date of closing, if any, subject to adjustment as herein provided, semicolon, D, covenants, conditions, restrictions, reservations, easements, rights, and rights of way of record, if any, semicolon, local, state, and federal laws, ordinances of governmental regulations, including but not limited to, building and zoning laws, ordinances and regulations, now or hereafter in effect relating to the property, semicolon, F, such statement of facts as may be shown in an ALTA survey of the real property, semicolon, and G, such other exceptions as may be approved by Bruce pursuant to this section 3.2 clauses A through G, collectively, the permitted exceptions, period. That's how long you have to keep going. In other words, that entire clause is one giant sentence. Did you all get that? That clause, section 3.2, that's not a paragraph. Not truly. It is simply one giant sentence. And it is highly reminiscent of one of these corporate music deals. This is highly reminiscent of one of these corporate music recording contracts. And how many of you even understood what it just said? How many of you actually understood what it said? Believe it or not, that's the nice one. This is the other one. Acknowledgement of conditions of property, 8.1, as is sale. People, this is the other one. The one I just read for you, that one was the nice one. Listen to this one. Listen how long it takes before we get to a period. 8.1.1. Neither county, parentheses, except as expressly set forth in this agreement or in any closing documents, parentheses, nor any parent, comma, affiliate, comma, advisor, comma, broker, comma, officer, comma, elected official, comma, director, comma, trustee, comma, member, comma, employee, comma, agent, comma, attorney, or contractor of or for county, comma, nor any employee, comma, agent, or affiliate of any of the foregoing. All of the foregoing including county are referred to herein individually and collectively as the county parties, is making or shall be deemed to have made, comma, nor does any county party have the authority to make, comma, any express or implied representation, warranty, comma, promise or statement, comma, express or implied, comma, of any kind or nature as to the property, parentheses, or its use of development thereof, parentheses, county or the transaction provided for in this agreement, comma, including, comma, without limitation, comma, as to A, the financial status of the property, comma, including without limitation, comma, income or expenses generated, comma, paid or incurred in connection with the property, comma, B, the nature, comma, physical or environmental condition, comma, safety or any other aspect of property, comma, including, comma, without limitation, comma, any patent or latent defects, comma, surface or subsurface soil conditions, comma, grading or construction defects or flaws, comma, groundwater issues, comma, status of entitlements, comma, adequacy of existing entitlements, comma, subsurface conditions, grading, construction, entitlements, comma, adequacy of existing entitlements, comma, availability of new entitlements, comma, availability of water or other utilities or services at the property, comma, C, the property's compliance with applicable federal, comma, state or municipal laws, statutes, ordinances, orders, rules, regulations, codes, or other requirements, collectively laws, including, comma, without limitation, comma, zoning ordinances, comma, subdivision laws, comma, building codes, parentheses, including, comma, without limitation, comma, the Americans with Disabilities Act, parentheses, and environmental, comma, hazardous materials and endangered species statutes. D, the accuracy or completeness of any information or data provided or to be provided by county parties, comma, including, comma, without limitation, comma, copies of any reports or documents prepared for county parties, whether by third parties or otherwise, which may be included with such information, comma, or E, any other matter relating to the property, comma, county, or the transaction provided for in this agreement. Period. Y'all, that last clause that I read was downright charitable compared to this one. That's why I was telling you, if you thought the first clause I read was bad, wait till you see some of the others that are in this agreement. So yes, if we're going to go through 82 pages and 100 years of this, we can hold out a little bit longer for an agreement that makes sense and gives us everything we're supposed to get. We can hold out for an agreement that makes sense and pays us everything we're supposed to get. And what I'm telling you is that didn't happen. That didn't happen here. So for those of you hearing that the area is not in the area where it can be zoned, that may be true, but the real thing is they haven't gone through the legal maneuvers necessary to get an exemption from that, since this is a special circumstance. They haven't gone through the necessary things. When you went to the legislature, you're supposed to get all this done then. Did they even negotiate? Apparently not. Their attorney just sat there and rubber stamped whatever the state said. So they went into this thing with the idea that the state, essentially, when you go and take a look at the way this agreement was put together and things, essentially, it's clear to me that from the very beginning, their goal was simply to pay the family $20 million. that the cost for your property, which is now what it should properly be, is in excess of 100 million. We can break that down to 20 cents on the dollar. Do you all get that? If this property is worth $100 million and they only gave 20, do you realize that's pennies on the dollar? That's my point. This is literally pennies on the dollar. And that is why, if we're going to discuss reparations, we really have to discuss whether or not folks are ready. We got to discuss whether or not folks are ready. Now, I'm going to tell you all that tonight, I'm probably going to be in a little trouble on a few things here because, and I will be diplomatic about this, I know that there are people in the Bruce's family who listen to my program. They've approved of our advocacy last year. I'm going to be diplomatic, but I will be uncompromising. This was a bad deal. This was a bad deal. You all did not do your due diligence, and this is the worst possible outcome. What were you fighting for? What were you fighting for? I can't approve of this. You should have gone in the door fighting not just to get the land, but for the right to rebuild what your family had, which is the development and the improvements. And in 2022, 2023, that's going to put you in an outrageously advantageous position. You see, what's supposed to happen is they give you back the land and they give you $50 million and you develop the land and y'all are good to go from here on in. And you are the only people who can have an establishment that close to the beachfront. And that's where you should be. But that isn't what's happened. What I'm saying is from here, it looks like y'all had some folks in the family. All it took was somebody to wave a little old half a piece of a check, and a bunch of Negroes started dancing in visions of 20-inch rims and tacky weaves started dancing through their heads. And next thing you know is Cadillac Records all over again. Last year, you were talking about we want our property back. After the money is gone, you're going to be saying, damn, we should have kept the property. Well, Jason, they told us we couldn't develop it. This was the time for you to be fighting that now. You were supposed to be sitting up here beating down the city of Manhattan and the Coastal Commission. We just gotten started. We gonna ride. We gonna ride. But understand something, folks. There's a reason that I no longer jump up when somebody got beat up and blitzed by the police. Y'all know my methodology. You know my motto about that. I don't just jump up and start defending people. I don't just jump up and, oh, hey, look, they did wrong. I don't do that. I fall back. I hang back. I want to see what the family gonna be about. I want to see what they're gonna say, because what we discovered was that once we started hitting the streets, family members started sitting up here saying, hey, they gonna drop the bag. Yeah. Stephen Clark is dead, but we all still here, so they getting ready to drop us the bag. Yeah. Sandra Bland is dead, but mama's out there in the streets dancing, they gonna drop the bag. So you see, it became this very grotesque thing. It became this very grotesque thing, and I refused to be a party to it. So I fell back because what I realized was that, as disgusting as it was, there was no shortage of family members out here and people who were willing to sit up here and over their dead folks' body. Hey, well, how much can I get with this nigga? And it became that. So when I saw that that's what it started being, when I saw that's what it started becoming, I said, oh, no. Well, I'm not going to sit here and be a party to this. I'm not going to act like this is okay. I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. Not at all. Not at all. And I'm just telling you right now, that's what I see here again. Right now, I'm just letting you know that I'm selective on who I talk about for reparations now. I'm going to have to be selective about that because I'm starting to see that there's some folks out here who are not truly committed and interested in changing the status quo. They are interested in seeing if they can cash in on the grandparents to get a bag, not if they can fundamentally change the society. Fundamentally changing the society means that you go ahead and break down on them. Fundamentally changing the society means that you hang in there and you understand coming in the door that this is going to be a years long effort, but that we are here to get everything we're supposed to get. And what that means is you and yours might not get there, but then again, you're here because your kinfolk, your ancestors didn't get theirs. You see, there's the whole problem with it. There's the whole problem with it. If you're going to go and do this, you got to be in it to win it here because that's what it's going to take. They want to see if they can just stretch y'all out. See, they know that as soon as they wave a check, it's going to be some Negroes who are going to be like, man, I don't give a damn how much it is. Hurry up and sign before these folks take it away. That's what, just go ahead and hurry up and throw me a few pennies before these folks take it away. And they recognize that. They recognize that, and that's why I'm letting you all know, if we're going to talk about reparations, then we're also going to have to discuss if we're ready. And my argument is not that we are not ready. My argument is that it is because of situations like Bruce's Beach. This is exactly why we need reparations. Now, before anybody tries to make the argument that we're not ready, and yes, I do know there have been some folks who have said that. Some been in my films. I understand that. But understand this. No, we have to do that now because, number one, who decides if we're ready? We can't do it now because everybody just going to go off and go get Cadillacs and hair weaves. Well, actually, that's not true, but that's what it does do is it betrays your negative attitude toward black people, period. The descendants of slaves, period. So thanks for showing that. But number one, who decides that we are, quote, ready? Who is it who determines that, okay, y'all are ready now? No, not now. We'll do it when you all are ready. Well, who makes that determination? Who decides whether we are ready or whether we are not ready? At what point are we ready? Because if you're going to say, well, you all will be ready when you have attained the same socioeconomic integrity that these other groups have gotten. Well, after you do that, then they're going to come back and say, oh, well, you don't need reparations anymore because you all are doing fine. So first and foremost, do not be deceived. Do not be deceived. Don't let somebody tell you that, well, we have to demonstrate our worthiness to be ready. That we need a certain percentage of the population, a certain percentage of people have to already demonstrate that they are ready. If you allow that to occur, then you just opened up a clause that allows them to hold you off forever. So, no, this is not Bruce's Beach and now the fiasco of Bruce's Beach, that's not a reason to deny us reparations. That's all the more reason that we need reparations, so that the sensible and the responsible can balance out the senseless and irresponsible. This isn't an argument against reparations. This is precisely an argument in favor of reparations. This is precisely the reason that we need to have it. However, some of you may disagree. So what I'm going to do, and I know this is perilous, but I'm going to open up the phone lines, and I'm going to allow you to call in. And if you think that we are not ready for reparations, I want you to go ahead and give us a call up, and you can explain if we're not whether or not you think we're not ready. Aside from the explanation that I just gave, if you still believe that we're not ready for reparations, then I want you to go ahead and give us a call, and I want us to go ahead and discuss that. Are we ready for reparations in light of what just occurred at Bruce's Beach? Are we ready? Are we ready to be in discussions here about reparations at this point? We're going to go ahead and take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. Before we do, I want to thank everyone, and I mean everybody who has contributed to support tonight's program here on PayPal, CashApp, Super Chat, Ironman 245, B1 Media is a lifesaver, Tommy Felix, Mr. Cocaine, my girl Brenda Starr, and Tommy Felix, big thanks to you here, Lioness Patricia, and Robert, and everybody else who's contributed to the program. Thank you very much. We're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. Then we'll come back with your phone calls. This is the Black Channel.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. My name is Joe Jackson. I'm a foundational Black American, and I entered the field of IT with the goal of helping the family globally. The industry's been changing, and I've learned a lot. But how did we get here? How do we navigate issues we face in the workplace? How can we get our house in order? Read The Concept and Intricacies of Being Black in IT, now on Amazon, as well as the best-selling Guide to Being Black in IT. Go to beingblackInIT.com.
Higher Life Recruiting and Consulting specializes in direct placement. If your company is looking to hire top talent, or you are looking to start a new career, our network of professional recruiters can help. We provide recruiting, LinkedIn lead generation, access to our professional network, paid job postings, interviewing, and more. Check out our specialized services: information technology recruiting, STEM career consulting, sales recruiting, hiring process consulting for your business, resume writing, LinkedIn profile consultation. Follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn and get hired with us.
Girl, I am so tired of Twitter and TikTok. We need something just for us.
Yeah, and I would post some 6 zeros, but they don't have a mobile app.
That's a lie. 6 Zeros actually does have a mobile app. It's available on iOS and Android. That's your phone?
Yeah.
That is humongous.
Anyway.
6 Zeros is where the Black community taps into unfiltered and authentic conversations on the topics we know and love. I gotta get out of here. But remember, don't just sign up.
We know. Host.
The 23 lines can help you find your flow. Revolutionizing healthcare to self-care. The 23, making a healthier me.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slavery and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening. And the telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933, your personal access code to the Black media. And we're discussing tonight about, are we ready for reparations in light of what has happened at Bruce's Beach? For those of you just joining us, as you know, last summer, there was a property that was owned by the Bruce family. It was taken from them back in the early 1900s. And a century later, the state of California allegedly gave the land back to them. But now, a few days ago, they have confirmed that the Bruce family sold the land back to the state of California for $20 million. And so it begs a question here. Are we ready for reparations at this point? Are we ready? I've already weighed in with my perspective on it, but we're going to go ahead and get yours. The telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933, your personal access code to the Black Channel. Let's go ahead and get caller from area code 323. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good evening, big brother Jason. This is brother Elijah calling out of Brooklyn, New York. Happy New Year, brother.
All right, Elijah out of Brooklyn. What's on your mind?
Brother, yes, we are 100% ready for reparations, no matter what, because this does not relieve the white powers that be their obligation to pay us for their 500 plus years of torturing us in this country. I do have a question, though, brother. This we have plenty of situations like this. Why do we keep selling out, and why don't we just hold firm against white supremacy? Why don't we just stay in the fight, like how you're teaching us? Just hold out until we really get there, till we get to the payday. Why do we keep on doing this?
Well, one of the things in particular here is take a look at how long this has been going on. Take a look at how long they drug this out, because that was always the goal. That was always the goal. They lost their land back in 1929. So take a look at how long they did that. Take a look at how long they drug this out now. Almost a century. That was the point. The point was to drag this out for so long. And this is one of the methods of warfare they use, to drag this out for so long that anybody who was still alive at the time is long dead, and the children of anybody alive at the time, they're dead too. So two and three, the whole thing is to drag this out until you're 3 or 4 generations later. And at that point, you're supposed to have just accepted your fate. You'll have some who didn't, but then you'll have some who will. Well, why is that? Because they've been resource deprived. You see, when you're dealing with other folks, when you're dealing with the Japanese, when you're dealing with Jewish people, they were repaired immediately. They weren't allowed to just dangle around for decades. So the people of that generation who had been resource deprived and what they had stolen from them, that was given back to them. They were given restitution in their lifetimes.
Yes, sir.
The whole goal was not to do that with us. That you cannot do that with black people. Remember, you can't teach them how to read. They'll want more. You can't give them reparations because A, they'll want more, and B, they'll do more. So it has been a top priority that you have to stretch this out as long as possible, preferably never. And if it ever does come up, that you have stretched it out as much as you possibly can. That you have stretched it out as far as it can go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, thank you so much. Because no, this is what you was talking about last year. That people making a big deal. Oh, they gave the land back, and you said it right. This didn't cost Governor Gavin Newsom nothing, and then now we're hearing that they're running out of pensions, so now they want to twist the conversation of reparations to something else. Now we see what you're talking about. But thank you, brother. I'll land my plane there. Be one, big brother.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 203. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Happy New Year, B1, Brother Jason. This is Black Espresso, Fairfield County, Connecticut.
All right, Black Espresso, what's on your mind?
Thank you for the on-spot analysis. And it's quite clear, from our agenda. I think there's a few things. Two groups, on-code FBA, on-code non-FBA, off-code FBA, off-code non-FBA. We got to distinguish those Negroes who don't even think that we can get it and those of us on the code with the agenda. Two, we better be 1,000% entirely ready for reparations. That's number one. Remove what we can. This is a litmus test. This in California and a couple other states that are trying to give us, throw it out there to see if we're going to bait and take it. And this is a prime example. Thank you for the analysis. And when we do decipher out the contract, the terms and conditions for those of us that are on code and at that critical percentage for us to know that's what we're going to do with the reparations, that's when I think once we get to that point, we can, further on the agenda so we can go over this again when it's brought up into legislation so we could distinguish from those on code and off code and know all the legalities so this doesn't happen when collectively, us that are on code with the agenda can know what to do. Those of us that are entirely ready and remove the stuff all of that word salad, get that out of there so we can
what this is generational butt breaking. This is what you call generational and genetic butt breaking. This dragging it out, putting your heads underwater, depriving your resources, trying to starve you out. So now you've got generations of poverty. And here's the real thing. Just telling them what they are owed does not overcome the emotional and psychological damage that you've done to them. You've gotten them to accept their position where they are. So therefore, at this point, they don't really have a true concept of what they're owed or the magnitude of it. So when you've deprived them for this long, you know full well you're dealing with folks who are desperate. They'll take whatever they can get at this point. So that was the entire intention of dragging this out as long as possible. That when you deal with the heirs 4 or 5 generations later, well, they'll probably be a lot more pliable. They'll be a lot easier to deal with than these first ones. And our job is to make sure that we are not easier to deal with. Our job is to make sure and be firm and say, hey, you know what? We've been waiting this long. We'll wait a little longer, but we got to be like Nipsey Hussle. We're not going to sign a bad deal. We're not going to do that. You're not going to sit up here and make us desperate and have us desperate and famished, and we are just so eager to have something that we'll just sign anything. No, we're here to get everything we're owed, not a portion of everything we're owed. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 571. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is Shakir. I'm calling from Arlington, Virginia.
All right, Shakir, what's on your mind?
On January 5th, I called in and I called into Washington Journal, C-SPAN. I talked to Senator Horsford, who's the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. I specifically asked him about reparations, and I asked him, I said, are you for reparations not just as a one-off, but on a continuous basis, similar to something that the Jews have? And he didn't answer the question. He went on, he spoke about Sheila Jackson Lee, and he talked about reparations being, not necessarily cash payments. But if you go and listen to, he's the chair of Congressional Black Caucus, you're saying, are we ready? Well, the people up in Washington who are supposed to represent us, who represent everybody else but us, they don't think that we're ready for cash reparations. But as I said, you can listen to your answer, to his answer to my question for yourself. January 5th, I called in and I specifically asked him this. So I wish you would look it up and just listen to this answer, because I'm ready for it, but the people who are representing me are not necessarily ready for it in cash payments.
Okay, and you say that's on C-SPAN, January 5th. We'll see if we can take a look at that for you. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 646. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
TBA, Anthony from Queens, New York.
Anthony from Queens, what's on your mind?
So to answer your question, are foundational Black Americans ready for reparations? In my opinion, absolutely. The large majority of FBA, they're going to take that, what we're owed. We're going to, spread it. We're going to build businesses, build land, and profit off of that. But that leads to the second part. Are we ready to practice group economics after we do that? Because we're going to need to protect what has been built, because we know we can't rely on the government. We can't rely on anyone else but ourselves. And that leads us to the third part. Are we ready to go to war when they come and eventually attack the group economics that we've built, the systems that we've built? Because it's layered. We just can't say, get reparations, build businesses. We have to, practice a group mindset to basically, condense that wealth and to make it grow and then to protect it. Because what happened with Black Wall Street, Rosewood, it's gonna happen again, because, we have that white supremacist buffer class that keeps coming here and they're attacking us. So we have to practice that group economics once we get reparations, and then we have to prepare to go to war, because they're going to come and attack us.
Yeah, I mean, definitely that's always in the offing. The real thing is today we got a different mindset about that. So the real problem they have is physically they know we're going to be built to resist. Their whole thing is whether or not psychologically we've been disarmed. Physically disarming us is not their biggest concern. Psychologically and emotionally disarming us, because they know at this point right now, it's not going to take a century for us to get up to speed. Once you have a taste of real power and see what that does, you don't go back to the way things were. So you're absolutely right. They're going to come for it regardless. The real thing is our mindset's a bit different on that regard. Their real thing is making sure you don't get in the place where you can actually see, hey, this is really possible. Hey, we can really make this happen. If we can keep you emotionally blinded, mentally blinded, psychologically blinded, that's what it's always been about. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 803. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mr. Black. This is Bango calling out of Columbia, South Carolina.
All right, Bango, what's on your mind?
Yes, sir. I kind of come with a different opinion. I actually feel like the Bruces, they did make the right decision. I feel like their hands were tied just for the simple fact they can't build on the beach. And I'm also thinking about property taxes. Are they going to have to pay these property taxes? And if so, how much can they afford to pay up until the point where they actually might be able to win the legal action to build on the beach? And if they're not able to pay these taxes, will they lose the land in the meantime? So I do feel like their hands were tied, but I think they made the right decision, just in my personal opinion.
Well, when you say about they couldn't build on the beach, well, first of all, that's what I was saying here before, is that the time to be sussing all that out is now. That's the whole point of it. When you're going through the legislation and everything else, this is the time to get all that cleaned up. Last summer when they came through, that's why I was sitting up here asking all kinds of questions about that pro bono attorney they got. I had all kinds of questions about him because I'm like, I don't like the sound of that. I don't like it. I don't like it because I know how it's supposed to be done. And I didn't like that. So that's why I was saying, I with folks sitting up here and, now you're saying, okay, well, they can't build on the land. And this was the time to be getting that done. This was the time. Yeah, you have to go through the city or go through the coastal commission. Okay, no, they weren't going to make it easy. Of course not. Of course not. That's the whole point. This idea that we're going to get everything resolved in one Twitter tweet, that's the problem.
Right.
This idea that we're going to get all this resolved in one Twitter tweet and then we can all go home. No, that's not what it's going to be. We have to see this as what it is. Brother Neely Fuller taught us here. This is war. That means they're going to try a war of attrition. This is going to be protracted. They're going to try to draw this out and drag this out and see if they can weaken your resolve. That's all this is over. Can we weaken your resolve? Can we make it where you no longer want to fight over this? Even in the modern era, and that's what I'm saying at this point right now, this isn't even a matter of money. This isn't even a matter of money. The attorney wasn't costing them anything. This is about if the family is on code and laid out their demands. Number 1, we must have cash reparations. Number 2, you must return the land. Notice that was separated from each other. Notice that when I said it, those are two separate things. Number 1, you must return our land. Number 2, you must give us cash reparations for the damages that have been incurred upon us for the last century. Number 3, you must restore us to wholeness. Well, what does that mean? Well, originally we had developments on this land. Now, a lot has happened since then, but we are not whole until we have our development back. We're not whole until then. So whatever y'all are putting together down there or up there in Sacramento, it ain't legit until it takes all 3 of those factors into account.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, what that means is your attorney who's sitting up here breathing down your neck, you can go ahead and sign that now. Have you signed it there yet? Oh, it's almost lunchtime, Oh, y'all. Oh, okay. Well, can we come back to later? Telling, hey, nigga, back up off me. We're not signing it. So you know what this means? We will not be settling this in July of 2022. We might be settling this in July of 2023 or 2024. Well, we would have to file paperwork with the city and the town of City of Manhattan Beach, and which is really, how the hell you call that a city? But anyway, the town of Manhattan Beach, and the Coastal Commission will get to filing. You're our attorney, aren't you? Well, then get to filing. And since you got Governor Newsom on speed dial, and we got Miss County Commissioner Hahn here now, let's go ahead and get to it. And then put people on the spot. If they then come out and like, well, we're not really interested in the development part of it, then the family calls a news conference and sits up there and says, these people are out here bull jiving. They're not serious. Call them out by name. They're not serious about this. They're trying to get us to give them the land back. We want our land with our developments. If it means we wait another couple of years, okay, but we're not going to sit here and act like everything's okay. This last summer when they were doing that was the time to be doing it. That was the time to be doing it. That was it. Because now they got you in the trick bag.
That makes sense.
What they've done is they've signed over the land, which may or may not have financial obligations, but at the same time, you're not receiving the value of it that you're supposed to. As a proper proper landlord doesn't just have a flat piece of land. A proper landlord has the land and properly develops it. And you've been given the land without the one thing it needs most, developing. There's nobody in California who just owns a slab of beachfront. Nobody just owns a bunch of sand. They got a house on it. They got something on it. And if they rob you of that, then guess what? You're in the trick bag again. They got you right there. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 202. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, hopefully I'm on. This is Sister Shawn, Washington, D.C.
All right, Suki, what's on your mind?
Okay, so what I would say, we're definitely ready for reparations, but I will say that we might not be as ready to preserve our reparations. But I take this Bruce Beach thing as a test case, because it definitely was botched. And I think the problem is a lot what you were kind of really stating the case, that this is a bad settlement, and this is a bad settlement on behalf of the lawyers, because as far as I'm concerned, what we have to really look at, when they were awarded their land back, you have to understand, like you said, what do you do? What is your just compensation? So the just compensation is, you are going to give me my stuff back just the way you took it. So you took my stuff 100 years ago. I was thriving with businesses, so I don't want to hear nothing about no zoning. So in that settlement, they should have put a clause that you're going to restore the zoning based on the original zoning and based on the original operation. The second thing, if you were really trying to protect the family and their wealth and their future endeavors, I would have also said, these families, we don't know their condition. I don't care with different conditions. I think you laid out some conditions. All right, their conditions is poor. Let's say they're all poor. So because of that, they're poor because of you. And because of you, LA County, Manhattan Beach, you are not going to charge them taxes. You're going to abate their taxes for at least 100 years. So they should not be obligated to pay no taxes. They should not be obligated to be subjected to any kind of zoning laws. They should be free and have the wherewithal to do everything that they want to do. That's part of their reinstatement, and that's part of making them whole, and that's part of their pain and suffering.
That's reparations.
But I think we don't understand that.
Well,
and the lawyers
as a group, we understand that. As a group, we understand that. Their lawyer and whatnot, I had questions about that from the beginning. But it's kind of twofold here, because I will just tell you that I know what I'm talking about. Everybody in the family was not ignorant here. This wasn't a situation where everybody in the family was money grubbing about this. But I do believe it was a situation where enough people really, they waved a check in front of enough of them, and that was it right there. What they're telling them is, okay, well, you can do a lot more with this $20 million than you can do with the land. That's basically what the argument is. Hey, you could do a whole lot more with this $20 million than you could with the land. It's going to be a big old mess.
But who gonna fall
You don't
for
have
that?
the ability to develop it. It would be a protracted process, blah, 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 blah. So that's basically what they told them. And they found a receptive ear in there. So I want us to take this as a case study that these are some of the things that are going to happen.
Exactly.
These are going to be some of the things that are going to happen. And, you know, that's
but
they're going to try these little tricks like that.
The only persons or persons that would have a receptive ear to that is what you say, them old niggas and them old men.
Well,
And
I
I'll
wish I could say it was relegated and limited to just that, but that's actually not true. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. You all got to watch out for everybody involved, not just one or two. You got to look out for everybody. Caller from area code 510. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
How you doing? This is Otto calling from Oakland, California, sir.
Otto from Oakland, what's on your mind?
Well, what's on my mind is you got to get that dream team right. You know, when we in the position to get reparations, and you called it, you got to have your legal team in line. You got to know who you need to go to. Law is nothing to play with. They break up law in categories for a reason. They got real estate law for a reason. If you don't have people who have your best interest, and like you said, somebody threw them some public pretender, as they say, in the jailhouse to represent them. They sold them. They sold them right down the river. And I've been to, like I said, I'm from Oakland, California, so I've been down to Bruce Beach, Manhattan Beach, up and down that hill that you're talking about, going steep down them stairs. I've walked on that dock, went up to the pier, took a picture of all the jellyfish that they have inside the little small lighthouse they have that's sitting out there on the water, and I've ran around there, did a little bit of jogging, exercising, and when I'm up and down exercising, you see all the new Teslas. I don't know if your audience been there, so I'm just trying to help them describe, what they get to see. You're talking about beachfront property, people with the finest cars in their garages, and some of them, they got 2 or 3 cars, so they park them on the curb, and you got to, walk around them. So these are balling white folks out there, all right. And if it's true, like you're saying, that they got to split up this $20 million, what's the lawyer going to take? 30%?
Well, okay, I got to remind y'all, folks are not paying attention here. Allegedly, the lawyers was doing all this pro bono. So that's what they said from the very beginning. The lawyer's doing this pro bono. Although, if that is a true statement, I'm then wondering, okay, where did you get this lawyer? Is this a lawyer that the family got? Or is this was one that was suggested to them, or worse, assigned to them by the state? Because I'm like, okay, whose interest is he looking out for? Is he looking out for your interests? Is this a lawyer, a shark who believes in reparations? Or is this lawyer just a dude that the state said, okay, let's grab the little ambulance chaser and send him over there because he'll just be looking for some headlines. This will be just some quick headlines for him, and he can go ahead and plaster over his credentials, and that's the way it'll be. So that's why I'm warning everybody that recognize the case study here. Brother Neely Fuller said it years ago, and it's still true today, that white supremacy takes both sides of an argument. Well, now you're starting to see what I was warning about the whole time. There are 2 sides to that. So yeah, they'll take the argument against reparations, and they'll take the argument for reparations, so long as they are in charge of defining what reparations is. And even now you see, well, okay, we can do cash reparations so long as we define what cash reparations is, not you. Well, so long as they get to define what cash reparations is. Okay, it can be cash so long as we get to define it and not you. And I'm just telling you all right now, in California, this to me serves as a case study of what they want to be the template for how to deal with us.
That's right. That's right. And it's so funny that most black folks, when they don't have a penny, they know where to look for, ACLU. They know where to go, when it's a obvious racial discrimination law, So it is befuddling, because the ACLU and other black organizations do have pro bono, even for, people in jail or people who have slips and falls, or for discrimination laws at work. These one person in the family, I'm sure, knew where to reach out to. So, yeah, it does look like this lawyer just came from the other side and became some type of pretender, And the second of what you were asking was saying, are we ready? Oh, man, this is, like you said, proof. Only we are ready, but we are in such a dire position that we've been beat down in our self-esteem that we take anything. You're basically asking, I'm going to go extreme, but you're basically asking for someone who's been, sexually assaulted, and saying, "Oh, is they ready? Are they ready for justice? Look at them. They don't even want to show up to court. They don't even want to look their predator in the eye." And that's what you're seeing when you take 20% of the land value. Okay, no repercussions for what you've done for almost 100 years in my family, and looking at people like Donald Trump, people came here from Germany, and within his lifespan, his grandfather built up a $1 billion empire off of what was less than Bruce Beach. So you're looking at a family that should have room with a few $1 million, and you know what the saddest part is? Their descendants can't even probably afford a house now on their own property. And I land right there.
Yeah, that's been reserved for the white folk down there. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. You know, instead of having property, just understand something, folks, here. The great sin of all this is that the Bruces, they worked for what they got, and take a look at how it ended there. Charles and Willa Bruce built that up as a haven for black people in this white supremacist system. And when it was over, Charles and Willa Bruce were back cooking and cleaning for white folk again. That is a blood debt. That is an unforgivable offense. To grab two beautiful, charming looking people, this beautiful, gorgeous black couple, and to trample them. And then to tell us a century later that you're going to bring over illegals and non-citizens and put their interests above ours. That is an unforgivable sin. Unforgivable. Absolutely not. We are not going to overlook that. We are not going to overlook it, and we are not going to let that go. I want you all to think about where you are today. See, right now, you've got the dreams, but you don't have the resources. Your great-grandparents, some of them were able to scrabble together the resources, and then they stole their dreams from them. As far as I'm concerned, that is rape and murder rolled into one. To take these two young black people with their whole lives in front of them, overcame slavery, and then you're going to do, and by the way, one more thing, that wasn't Louisiana. To all the folks talking about black folk in California don't need reparations and racism was a Southern thing and black folk left the South to get away from white supremacy, Bruce's Beach is not in Louisiana. It's not in Mississippi. It's not in Alabama. It's not in Arkansas. It's not in Tennessee. Bruce's Beach is in California. Not the deep South. Not the usual stereotypical Ku Klux Klan land. That wasn't where Bruce's Beach was. That's California. And Bruce's Beach is just one story among many. One story among many. Leaving to California or Michigan or New York, nobody thought they were escaping white supremacy. And this is just your further proof of it. No, you owe much, much more. This is why I'm saying stop leaving money on the table. Your heirs, you are the heirs, you're owed much more than this. Somebody sat up here and committed the rape and murder of your great-great-grandparents' dreams. I don't see how the blood in your veins doesn't scream out for reparations to the magnitude of the injury inflicted on you. Caller from area code 206, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
206, it's Caleb from Seattle.
Okay, Caleb, put the pipe down. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I think we're ready for reparations. You know, I was just thinking because it got a similar thing, you know, like because my family, like we got a case against Big Johnson and Johnson. You know, my mom died from ovarian. You said
we're ready for reparations. I'm wondering if you're eligible for reparations, brother.
Well, Actually, I grew up about 45 minutes from where you from, Shreveport.
Hmm.
So I'm from the South.
Okay, you from Shreveport, Jamaica, or Shreveport, Bahamas, or Shreveport,
No,
Mexico?
I'm not from Shreveport. I said I don't want to just tell the town where I grew up at because somebody might be listening.
I know, but you said 45. You said
ongoing
45
case.
minutes outside of Shreveport, so I'm wondering, is that Shreveport, Jamaica,
Yeah.
or Shreveport
On
Virgin
Texas side.
Shreveport Virgin Islands, or Shreveport, Mexico? Because I hear an accent, brother. That voice ain't quite right, so I'm just wondering which Shreveport we referring to. Because it's not Shreveport. It's not Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm thinking it's like Shreveport, Guatemala. So where exactly is that?
No. I traced my family back, my grandfather back to 1853.
Okay.
He's born in slavery.
All right.
Yeah, so I'm a foundation of Black America. But I don't know, like I said, it's a lot going on and stuff, and because I go in on white supremacy. They took my account, and Google took my account and told me I would never give it back because I used to decode. I used to like show little videos of the news, and I would decode their language and stuff. And they took my account and never gave it back. I called the 800 number. They said, "Well, we're looking into it," but they would never get back to me. They never gave me that account back. So I had to make another account. And Twitter, they just let me back on Twitter when Elon Musk. They told me that I could never have another Twitter account. So they just let me back on Twitter when Elon Musk bought it. But I constantly be kicked off because I go in on white supremacy. So they probably know me very well. I do it in blogs right now. But I was just saying, yeah, we got a case against Johnson & Johnson. And I was thinking, too, because like my mom died of ovarian cancer. And my sister has it, too. And so the two cases are together. And I don't know.
Brother, where in the hell is this story going?
Well, I'm just
Okay,
saying
I
about
thought
the
so
lawyers.
too. Thank you very much for giving. No, thanks for giving us a call. But yeah, y'all, where in the hell is this story going? I didn't know whether the Twilight Zone music or the Sesame Street music. I didn't know which one. Calling from area code 818. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
What up? This is Daryl Richardson. Born and raised in Inglewood, California. My parents and my grandparents, they're from Alexandria, Louisiana. Sonia Quarters, big time. I know what time it is. Now, let me say something, man. I was born and raised in Inglewood, California. I'm in Washington State now, live on an island. Took my kids, man, got them out of the ghetto, out the hood. Okay, they soft. But wait a minute. Hey, man, I know every boule, dragon lawyer in L.A., high-powered people. Man, they don't care. They don't care. They watch this go down in Manhattan Beach. It looks like some niggas don't want some niggas to have no money. I'm just tripping on this. Wait a minute. I don't see no teamwork. I think I need a brown paper bag test on the black side of the game. I seen so many sellouts. Who watched this man in Manhattan Beach make this mistake? I was born and raised there. I know these people. For real. I can't see it. Something is amiss. Something is amiss. That female caller who just called, very good point. And the brother behind her, right after her, very good point. I don't see the mistakes. This is like nationwide and worldwide what you have on, and everybody can hear everybody. I can't see the mistakes. We know who works against black.
I think the big lesson to take away from this is our so-called, we don't have a black legal class, not one that works in our interests. And that is one of the deadliest things to happen, because we're talking about lawsuits and legislation, and we do not have a competent legal class. That's the bad news. The good news is we're going to have to actually be good at articulating for ourselves. Thank you very much for giving us a call. We're going to have to be competent about this because we don't have one. We do not have a competent black legal class. So you're going up against lawyers for the city, the county, and the state, and soon the federal government, and we don't have a competent black legal class. Now, there's one thing I will mention. As a people, I'm not going to ever say that we're not ready for reparations. What I will say is that we don't have a legal class that is ready. We don't have one. And it's very unfortunate that we even need one, because technically speaking, we shouldn't even require one. But under the circumstances, we don't even have that. Let me get caller from area code 662. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, this is Aaron calling from Tupelo, Mississippi.
Aaron from Tupelo, what's on your mind?
My question is that money even protected? Because if that's his wife right there, you know what I'm saying, couldn't she just, through him, just money launder that money, right? Because, you know, she can't touch the land because it's an inheritance. But once they made it into a currency, could she just divorce him and just take half of it? You know what I'm saying? Like, my question is reparation protected to the point that your spouse that may be from a different color that's not inherited to you, just take that money from you? Because $20 million, she can get half if she married to him, right?
Well, I mean,
she divorce him?
Technically speaking, he's not going to get the whole $20 million though. But, I mean, it's like I say, it's just, they're going to probably split it up is what it sounds like is going to happen. They're not just going to give it. It's not just for two people. It looks like they're going to split it up among the descendants. The real thing is this was a bad deal because the family isn't supposed to be splitting $20 million. They're supposed to be splitting over $100 million. That's what's supposed to be happening. If it was supposed to get to a point where they decide to sell it, that number is supposed to be much, much higher. Much higher.
Right.
That's the real problem.
What protect that money staying into their family and not, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause
what protects the
you,
money is the family itself. But if the family is off code, then there's nothing to protect the money. At some point, the money's got to be given to the family's possession. At that point, it's up to the family members to protect it. It's not up to the law. It's not up to the banks. Right. It's not up to the lawyers. It's up to the family members. Okay, this is what you wanted here. Now, this is yours. And what that means is that, yes, you are free to receive it, but you're also free to lose it again. That's what it means. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 414. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Alden from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Okay, what's your name again?
And my thing, Alden.
Okay, Alden, if you're on speakerphone or something, you need to come off of that because you're really hollow.
No, I'm not on speaker.
Okay, get closer to your phone. What's on your mind?
All right. A few points. I'm really distorted. Just a few points. The main one is a remembrance of one of your most important broadcasts, period, especially regarding reparations, is the all-around concept of reparations. As we get closer to this goal and accomplishment, there are people who say either or, and that common sense issue is lost upon me. When you do something, and you do something, whatever it is, you're going for it all the way. You're not looking for a partial win. You're looking for a win that is going to solidify your place in that race. These people did something that would not only not solidify their place, but from the jump, like you said tonight, from the jump of their contract, they're not looking at their right, their lawyers or whatever you want to call them.
Well, I mean, that's the whole thing about it there is that if wealth is generational, but so is poverty. Poverty has to be maintained. Wealth has to be maintained.
Right.
And if the heirs and the descendants have been so divorced from being involved in money management, financial management, knowing exactly what they can get. If ignorance is an incredibly powerful weapon to use against people. It's an incredibly powerful weapon. And that's why I tell you, that's why they drug this out for so long. They don't need all of them to be ignorant. They just need enough of them to be. And then from there, the rest does itself. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from country code 316. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, caller from country code 316 has been abducted. Caller from area code 404. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Jason, what's up? It's Leroy from Atlanta.
All right, Leroy from Atlanta. What's on your mind?
Man, I got a few things on this topic. I came in late, but I was already aware what happened at Bruce Beach. Bro, the first one is the same thing has happened at American Beach. It wasn't given to a family. It wasn't given back to a family, but it has been locked down to where we can't even participate there the way it was meant, because that was the only beach we could go to as black people. American Beach is north of Jacksonville, Florida, on Amelia Island, say Fernandine Beach. It's out there. And that was the only place we could congregate. And the municipality there, at one time you could camp out on the beach. There was an organization had an event for 20 years. I caught on to it late. I caught the last 5 and the flame out. And it wasn't a flame out because, it got violent and it was shootouts and killing each other. No, none of that. None of that. People camping on the beach, cleaning up their campsite, keeping it nice, doing what they're supposed to. But they still found a way to stop us from being there, like they meant us to be there because they didn't want us coming to their beach.
Well, no, I mean, that's not a one-time thing. It's everywhere. It was on both coasts. It was in every neighborhood. It was everywhere. Anywhere black folks showed up at. As far as they were concerned, we were an obsolete labor class. The whole goal, I've told you all this for over a decade. After slavery, the next step is supposed to be to liquidate that slave force. The slave force is not supposed to be out here walking around in the streets. After they've served their purpose, then the goal is supposed to be to liquidate them. So if you're not going to keep them under constant tight control, then you got to eliminate them. And that didn't happen. So then the strategy is economically deprive them and strangle them. And that has been American public policy now since the so-called end of antebellum slavery, since the so-called end of chattel slavery. American public policy has been to socioeconomically, intellectually, and emotionally deprive us so that we just wither on the vine. And the results have been remarkably good in that regard. What they didn't count on is that our memories would stay intact. Now, that they didn't count on. They figured at some point we would just give it up. Things didn't go quite the way they were hoping for. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Big shout out here to 1,000 here in the super chat. Thank you very much for your support. I appreciate that. Punitive damages for generational restitution and blood debt repaid should be inflated to serve as a future deterrent. Absolutely correct. It should be 20 billion, not 20 million. Is insulting. TBA on point. So definitely, you want to make sure that they get the point about that. Certainly what they received is nowhere even close to adequate. Caller from area code 707. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yes, Purple Dynasty.
Okay, Purple
From
Dynasty.
California,
What's on your mind?
Bay Area. I'm sorry, say that again?
Welcome back. What's on your mind?
Oh, okay. Well, you remember me. Thank you. Appreciate being able to comment again. I just wanted to say, why are we surprised about this outcome? When we saw who he was married to or standing next to and the way that this was going, and you called it out from the very beginning. But when we also consider the fact that they've been lowballing black homeowners since the beginning of time, and it's been in the paper more recently about all the lowballs that has happened, and then they turn around and get a white friend or a non-black friend to pose, and then all of a sudden the amount for their homes are double. So this is no surprise, but I think also we have to change the narrative and not let them call this reparations. because this is not reparations. This is more of the same, of our properties being taken from under us or scammed out of it, lowballed. So this is not reparations at all. And I wanted to also clarify something.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 929. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good evening, Jason. My name is Daryl from Chicago.
Daryl from Chicago, what's on your mind?
Another excellent broadcast, Jason, and I totally agree that we should give reparations. I feel that, that situation out there in Bruce Beach is just a total debacle. But also they had a debacle right here in Evanston, where they tried that nine-member committee talked about that was reparations, and it was the vote from 8 to 1. And the one person that was on that committee said that's not reparations for the housing. Those checks were, like you said in previous broadcasts, these are not reparation situations. These are just things that let us know that, what not to do. This is a what not to do situation. And you were right, the previous broadcast, again, about the legal aspect of it. Yes, we need more competent legal counsel to get this thing through. And it seems like that's the only way we're going to get that the way we want to get it. And yes, I'm down with staying as long as we can to get what we want and to get it the way we're supposed to get it. And that's bottom line. Again, thank you much. Be one.
Black First, brother, thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get a caller from area code 424. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
I'm calling from California, LA.
Okay, what's your name?
Willie Jones.
All right, Willie, and you're calling from Los Angeles. What's on your mind?
The Bruce situation. I have a couple of things I would like to say about it because I was just over there like last year, and I said I made a short little video exposing the whole little thing about that, and it's sad that they're trying to dismiss us, with all the stuff that's going on with covering up the real root of what they really doing with it. But it's an assault on us as a whole, but they keeping it isolated like it's just about the Bruce family. But it's about all of us. And they changing the narrative, making it like it's just an isolated thing. But I feel that we need lawyers. You said it earlier. We need lawyers. We need a strong legal team, and we all need to get on board with this. We can't let this slip between our hands and make it think it's just an isolated thing.
I agree. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 702. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Jason Hayes, Cal in Vegas.
Okay. You sound like you're being mugged by E.T.
So it's Cal in Vegas. I just wanted
Cal
to say,
in Vegas, what's on your mind?
Jason, I just wanted to say, your show is, spot on as usual. And I also wanted to add, because I know that, she's sitting back, resting on her laurels, thinking that, she's done her job. But Janice Hahn, you are really a disgusting person. You have been playing this all along, just like you were planning to play it in the first place, that you were going to, be the cheerleader for this, and no one was going to be paying attention to the aftermath of it, because you think over time and history, people will only remember that you fought for it. And I'm telling you now, it's a new day. Nobody's going to forget that you basically stole the land back a second time, and that, we're watching, and yeah, lesson learned here, but this is definitely a lesson in what not to do, and appreciate it, Jason. That's it.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Please do give us a call again. Well, definitely this is going to be something else here for us to keep in mind here as we go forward. Just recognize, I've always told you that white supremacy is an evolving organism. And as such, it's going to keep changing the way it does things. So now we're saying reparations, and they're saying, hey, don't worry, we'll cut the check. And then they try to sit up here and twist it in such a way that they cut the check in a way that doesn't actually alter anything. That's what you're looking out for now. You are looking for so-called cutting the check in a manner that doesn't actually change anything. How many people were ready for that? Because I've been warning you about that for years. Doing it in a manner that doesn't actually change anything. Think about that. Think about that for a moment. Going forward, are you ready to be able to watch how this thing evolves? Are you ready to watch how this thing evolves? Are you ready for the changes that they're going to throw into this? Because going forward next time, it may be you. The other thing here is all the folks out there who are talking about the kids who are nerds or this, that, and the other. Right now, you need to have a bunch of thick rim glasses, nerdy kids who are able to battle these lawyers for the city and the county and the state. That's what you need to have now. And we don't really have that kind of reinforcement. It's cool to have your little rappers and dancers and you know, your entry-level employees, but right now we need to have some sophisticated professionals out here and not just one or two. In a gigantic state like California, you can't have just one or two. And we are grossly outnumbered and outmanned. Grossly. We do not have a competent legal class. And they're throwing laws and lawyers, and we're sitting up here with pro bono people telling us to settle for pennies on the dollar. We need to have a competent legal class, because right now we got pro bono people sitting up here saying, hey, treating you like a public defender, talking about take the deal. Man, they talking about giving us 80 years. Take the deal. The folks who go for that, they're not ready. It would be in their best interest if they didn't. The folks who still think like that and still operate that way, they're not ready for reparations. We may be ready, but those folks are not ready. And right now, I can see it coming. It's going to be a bunch of folks who sit up here and settle for pennies on the dollar. Pennies on the dollar. I remember when I was a child and the big rage back then was about cigarettes. The cigarette industry was the biggest group of immoral, evil individuals. Their product killed folks by the thousands. It was the most hated product in America. And then eventually at some point, the states finally got together and we're going to file lawsuits against the cigarette companies. And this is going to be it. And a bunch of folk thought this would be the day of reckoning. They thought this was going to be the end of the cigarette companies. That's what they thought. They thought it would be the end of them. And what they eventually found out was that, oh no, the cigarette companies got their ducks lined up and they got the states so money hungry that before it was over, they had gotten everything down to a point where they could manage it. And the cigarette industry rolls on to this very day. They don't need advertising. They don't need promotion. They're still a multi-billion-dollar industry to this day. The great big day of reckoning that we thought was going to change the world, it came and it went, and the status quo has been maintained. The government was watching all of this. The government was watching all of this, and what I suggest to you all tonight is they saw what happened with the cigarette companies, and that black people are saying the day of reparations is now at hand, and this will fundamentally change things, and their goal now is to put things in a position where it fundamentally won't. That there may be a payout, but that after the payout is over, the situation and the circumstances will essentially remain unchanged. Everyone needs to be on guard against this now. Everyone. Now that we can see that this is the methodology they're using, these are the tactics they're going to employ, watch out for it now. That even if they do pay you, they're going to try to knuckle it down and get pennies on the dollar and see if they can lean on your family and your friends and get that down to pennies on the dollar. Hell, they just did one whole family now. Yours may be next. Yours may be next. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. I want to thank Naima and everybody else who has contributed to support tonight's program here on PayPal, Cash App, or Super Chat. And if you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the haven of intelligent black thought. We do this every weekend. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time. If you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, you want to go there and check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work, 7 a.m. Gentrified Race War, all available on streaming and DVD. Go to blackchannelfilms.com. That is blackchannelfilms.com. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.